Last season here on the channel, we started to get into the score prediction game, and we were trying to predict all 10 Premier League matches every single weekend. What would the correct score be? Who was going to win? All that fun stuff. Sadly, the website we used for that isn't really with us anymore, and the #1 place to do score predictions in the football community is Super 6 from SkyBet. And every Friday now on the channel for the rest of the season, we're going to be trying to put together the Super 6 combination to try and win that jackpot at any point in the video today. If you do, laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and get into the comment section and let me know what score predictions I've got wrong and how you would make them right, or let me know what your Super 6 predictions are and if you're playing along. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. And the first game we've got to tackle is Liverpool at home to Brighton. Now, Arne Slot's Liverpool are looking imperious. Second in the table, 1 point behind Manchester City, but Brighton, with 4 wins, 4 draws and a loss, sitting in 6th position at the moment, are quietly keeping themselves up in the sharp end of the table. A team that I tipped to go all the way and finish into the top 4 this year. This could be a massive 6-pointer for Brighton to really catch up on some ground that they've lost with that loss to Chelsea. But this is a huge statement game for Liverpool to potentially put the squeeze on Man City, who are missing a lot of first-team players. The projected Liverpool team looks pretty much as strong as you could make it, and any combination of this team under Arne Slot, I think the Scousers have got full confidence in. But with no Alisson, you do worry that the clean sheet might not be there for them. But with Gakpo, with Nunez, with Salah, with Diaz from the bench, you know Liverpool are going to bring the firepower in this one. And if we look at the Brighton projected 11, it's pretty much as you were. A lot of regular faces, a lot of the same names that we've seen feature throughout this season. Danny Welbeck living his best life. Mitoma, Rutter and Ayari in support of the front man here. Feels like where Brighton could get a lot of their success. And when you see fullbacks like Pervis Estupiñán, who are big game players who love to show up with big moments, you cannot write off Brighton in this game at all. Looking at the stats and looking at their form, there's not really too much to split them in between. If we have a look at what the pundits have picked, Jamie Carragher has went with a 3-1 victory, as has the Super 6 admin. And if we look at the popular vote, everyone thinks Liverpool's going to win this. It's not going to be a draw. Now, I can see Liverpool scoring 3 goals in this game quite comfortably if you look at the way Brighton have been conceding. But I do think Brighton are more dangerous than what these people have gave them credit for, the pundits, as it were, the experts. With Liverpool just beating Brighton by 3-2 in the Cup, it feels like it could be the same sort of scoreline. I wouldn't be too surprised if we've seen an absolute repeat of this, but something's telling me that Brighton could sneak a point out of this, so I'm going to go for this to be a 2-each draw. Next up is Manchester City with their 13 fit senior players. They're away to Bournemouth, who are quietly going about their business and securing a really safe position in mid-table, and with a couple of results going Bournemouth's way, they could quickly see themselves climb up the table to maybe challenge for some of the European spots. But we know with Manchester City, it's all about one thing, and it's all about winning the title, winning all the trophies, and they will not take any game lightly. No matter how many players they've got fit and available, they are still able to field a world-class starting 11. Looking at the projected lineup for this game this weekend, it just does look like Man City have got all the right pieces in the right places, despite there being no De Bruyne, no Rodri, no Grealish, no Doku. Savio might be coming from the bench in this game, but with Foden starting, with Gundogan and Kovacic in the engine room, and then with Matheus Nunes, who's got a lot to prove, and Bernardo Silva in support, it just feels that City have just still got far too much for virtually every opponent in the league. And then you add in the likes of Rico Lewis, John Stones, Josko Guardiola. These guys all love to get into the final third and make something happen. But like I mentioned, Bournemouth are quietly going about their business and are not to be taken lightly. Their team is, if it's not stellar, but it's very effective, and they've got a really good balance of having high quality players and having players that fit a very distinct style for Andoni Iraola, for his style of play. And looking at the stats here, Bournemouth have been a bit of a roller coaster, dropping points against Liverpool, beating Arsenal, losing to Leicester, beating Southampton, drawing with Villa. It's been a bit of a pick and mix situation for them, hasn't it? Quite firmly mid-table form. But looking at Man City, it is they conquer all before them. But the fixture list they've had kind of recently, maybe you'd add Fulham into this, has been on the easier side. City consistently still getting to 2 or more goals a game. I know they beat Southampton here 1-0 before losing 2-1 to Spurs in the Cup in the midweek. But Man City don't score less than 2 in this game for me either. And do you know what? I actually think City are a pretty good shout for a clean sheet in this one. Bournemouth away from home, but can be a bit of a tricky one for Man City. I'm thinking about a game where Raheem Sterling scored in the very last minute to win it for City. So it's not going to be an easy one. I don't think there'll be a lot of work in this game for City to do. But with the likes of Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden, I think they're going to score at least 2 in this game. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they got the clean sheet. So I'm going to go with 2-0 for Manchester City. The pundits have went for 2-1 to Manchester City, which is interesting to see. And the popular vote is, yeah, everyone thinks Man City is on to win this. Now, Now, with Football Manager 24-25 season not coming out for us, I've been scratching around and looking for some sort of alternative, and I've found MFL, the Meta Football League. This is like playing Football Manager with regens only, so you don't need to worry about this game coming out every year. Once you start your club, once you build your squad, you're then in and playing with everyone else, but it gets even better because the one thing that I've always longed for in Football Manager is some sort of real world success that can come into this. In MFL, the clubs, the players, all the assets in the game are tradable in the secondary market for real money. You can buy and sell clubs and players and everything else for real money. So if you could take guys that are really cheap and make them into better players, make clubs into better players and sell them on, it's a great way to go. But the whole game itself has competitive leaderboards where if you win the divisions, you win real actual money as well. I've had a great time playing it. There's a video on the channel where I unbox the game and get stuck into it. If you'd be interested in playing it, there's a link in the description in this video that will get you all the beginner bonuses to get started. If you get stuck, if you've got any questions, jump into the comment section and I'll come and sort you out. And then next up, we've got maybe one of the most difficult games to try and forecast. We have Nottingham Forrest against West Ham, two teams that are right in that kind of mix of, you don't really know how their season's going to pan out. Nottingham Forest are going above and beyond pre-season expectations, finding themselves in 7th and looking really impressive, whereas West Ham are on the absolute opposite. I think you would have expected both of these teams to be in the opposite situation to one another at the beginning of the season, but West Ham find themselves in 13th with 13 goals scored in 9 games. Is not good reading at all, and with 4 losses out of 9, only winning 3, you can see why the Hammer fans are upset at the moment. But if we have a look at the projected 11s, Nottingham Forest look to be basically as strong as they can go at the moment. No Gibbs White still, but Elliot Anderson has been looking pretty tidy in situ. But Milinkovic, Moreno, Murillo, Ola Aina and Matt Sells, it's really, and I know Milinkovic and Murillo are getting lots of praise at the moment, but it's really hard to see this defence keeping a clean sheet against some of the talent, some of the firepower that West Ham have. But being at home, Chris Wood up front, the support cast of Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi, it does feel that Forest have got the main pieces that they need available to them. And if this is, wow, look at that West Ham midfield, Souček, Guido and Edson Alvarez. So they're looking to keep it tight and narrow and get all the play out wide, which isn't a bad way to go about it, but this West Ham team really does not look it. I don't think this game's going to have a lot of goals in it. If we have a look at their form, their recent statistics, both teams are a little bit up and down recently. Of course, Forest in 7th have been doing much better overall, drawing with Chelsea, drawing with Brighton, beating Palace, beating Leicester, the sort of games you'd expect them to do well in. And West Ham all over the shop, but of course they can beat Man United. So I think I'm going to take Forest to score 2 in this one. I think Chris Wood, maybe even 3 by the way, I think they could. I think the thing that stops me thinking they could score a lot, in fact, is that midfield is so defensive and West Ham are just going to counter-attack with the front 3 of Antonio, Silencio Somerville and Jared Bowen. And I think this is a Desmond Tutu. I think they're both going to score 2 goals in this game. I think we're going to get a draw. And this is a game that West Ham might see as a point gained and Nottingham Forest will see it as 2 points dropped. And then Saturday, 5:30, we've got the battle of the underperforming teams in the Premier League. Crystal Palace, for me and a lot of other people, should have been the dark horse this year, should have been on to do some great things. And I've been a big admirer of Gary O'Neill's Wolves for the last year or two. And I cannot believe where we find both of these teams. Palace in 17th on 6 points and Wolves on 2 points in 19th. Both of these teams desperately need a win. It's a massive 6-pointer and I cannot understate the value of this game enough. The Wolves projected lineup is that tried and tested Gary O'Neill 5-3-2. We've got Cunha and Larson up front for a bit of the creation and a bit of the target man. We've got a really robust midfield. Tommy Doyle looks to be starting but over Andre, which is maybe an injury thing, a fitness thing. The back 3 is pretty tight and the fullbacks I'm a big fan of. The goalkeeper looks to be Sam Johnson. And Wolves want to be deep in counter-attack with their attacking players and be really strong in possession. And this Crystal Palace team is going to come onto that and be really attacking, be really offensive, and they only really want to defend with their back 3. So I think this game is actually going to be really open. It's going to be a fun game to watch on the TV as well. And this is a game where I feel it's going to be a battle of the fullbacks. Munoz and Mitchell against Ait-Nouri and Semedo. Whoever gets the better of those duels, as it were, is probably going to be the team that creates the most chances and ultimately goes on to get the result. But with Nketiah, Sarr and Mateta, I feel that Palace have maybe got a little bit more in them. They've got a few more goals. And with Hughes and Wharton, that was the best midfield combination that we've seen from Crystal Palace last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did get an away victory in this one. Looking at the form, both of them don't have much to write home about. Both of them desperately need to buck the trend and get 3 points on the board. Jamie Carragher has went with a 2-1 victory. The admin has went with a 1-1. I definitely think Wolves score in this one. 1 or 2, I think. but I think Palace have got more goals in them. I'm going to go with Palace to win this by 3-2. The reason I think this will be extra high scoring as well as it will be on the TV, and generally you get a bit more excitement from these types of teams in these types of games. And on Sunday, we've got a massive clash for the top 4 race. Aston Villa in pole position and cruise control, looking to be the favourite to finish in the top 4 yet again. And Tottenham are the team that I think, finishing 5th last year, should be in that conversation as well. But Villa certainly seem to be going from strength to strength, whereas for Tottenham, it's still a bit of a bumpy road. There's moments of success and good victories, and then there's some other moments where people are calling for the manager, so it's really hard to know what Tottenham we're going to see. And with this projected 11 for Tottenham, it feels like Ange Postecoglou is going to be going with that tighter midfield that he's been favouring this year against those, more worthy opponents, let's say. So Papa Sarr, Yves Bissouma in support of Maddison, gives him Kulusevski from the bench as well as a real player that can change things up and open stuff up later on. But starting with Son, Solanke and Brennan Johnson feels like the best first choice front three. But with no Mickey van de Ven, Radu Dragusin is going to come back in. And Aston Villa, who do have Champions League midweek, Tottenham of course do have Europa League midweek as well, but this is how they set to line up. And really I think this is, maybe we could talk about John McGinn being in the picture, but otherwise I think this is undoubtedly the strongest Aston Villa starting 11. And the way Unai Emery chess ball has been going this year, you never really fear for Aston Villa going into any game. And when we look at the head-to-head, it's a bit of a stark contrast from the League Cup. Tottenham knock out Man City, Aston Villa get knocked out by Crystal Palace. But then it's quite interesting because Aston Villa either seem to win or draw, and Tottenham either seem to win or lose. There's no middle ground for them at the moment. The pundits have went for Jamie Carragher's taking a 2-2 draw. The admin is going to take Aston Villa to win this by 2-1. And the popular vote probably has Tottenham taking this, but they're going for a draw. I think I could see this being a draw. And the thing with Villa is Villa are really good at getting to score 3 goals. That's something that's really in their bag. And the way this game's going to go, Tottenham, if you've seen the Brighton game, they will be quite open. Aston Villa will get chances. They've got very powerful players to come from the bench as well. I'm not sure Tottenham can score that many goals against Emi Martinez in this Aston Villa team. I definitely think 2's on the cards for them. But Aston Villa being away from home, having the fixtures pile up, and I've been kind of questioning them on my channel if they're in a purple patch or are they showing champion level credentials. So I'm going to go for this to be a 2 each draw. And then to finish off the Super 6, we've got Chelsea and Man United. Man United sitting in 14th at the moment, and Chelsea sitting in 5th. I genuinely can't believe how high Chelsea are in the league, but I can certainly believe that Man United are sitting in 14th for the way their seasons went. And this is a game that's going to be really, really tough to call because Man United under Van Nistelrooy with no Eric Ten Hag, Ruben Amorim is on his way in. He's just going to finish some business with Sporting Lisbon before he comes in. You can see this team being totally transformed with that kind of new manager or that interim manager bounce that Man United seem to often enjoy. The starting 11 is really, really good. In every position, there's really high quality players. And for Chelsea, it's really the same. I actually really like the Chelsea starting 11 here. I think I would favour it over the Man United team with Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer and Noni Madueke being the difference for me. I think Nicholas Jackson and Højlund are very much like 2 strikers that are quite similar, where they're not that convincing, but they can be effective. But Rashford, Garnacho, Bruno doesn't feel as dangerous to me right now as that Chelsea attacking trident of support. Chelsea's results have been kind of all over the place recently, win, draws and losses and all the rest of it, as has Man United's been. The pundits are going, Jamie Carragher's taking a 1 each draw in this. The admin is going to take a 3-1 for Chelsea. And yeah, I really don't know how to call this one. It's a really tight game. I don't think Man United do score in this. They're at home. Chelsea's goalkeeper is going to concede. They definitely score 1. I think Chelsea are going to do it. I think they're going to win by 2-1. Cole Palmer is going to be the difference here. And I'm going to take the 8th minute for my golden goal, tiebreaker or whatever it is. So we've got Tottenham 2, Brighton 2. We've got Man City to beat Bournemouth by 2-0. We've also got a Desmond 2-2 draw for Forrest against West Ham. Crystal Palace to beat Wolves by 3-2. Tottenham, Aston Villa, another 2 each draw, and then Chelsea to win 2-1 away to Man United. A lot of people scoring 2 goals I've got in here. Maybe that's something we need to be mindful of for next week, but I'm quite hopeful we get some of these, if not all of them, right. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Don't forget to jump into the comment section and let me know what your predictions are. On screen and now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.